it's Lori Koppelman. Thanks for joining me for another breather. This time I want to talk about menu planning. I have often described menu planning as Chinese water torture. It never goes away. You always have meals to plan, and especially if you have children, it's a bigger deal. And so I have tried various methods over the years, and I'm going to share with you the one that seems to work the best for me. And I heard about it many years ago from a woman. She came to do a lunch and learn seminar where I worked, and she suggested making menu plans a month at a time. And thank you, Audrey Thomas, for that original idea. And I remember thinking that it was insane. There was no way. That sounded like too much work, too much change, no flexibility. How could you possibly do that? And I kind of wrote it off at the time. But she was pretty convincing, and I decided to give it a try. And I did it for a few years and was doing online grocery ordering, and it worked like a charm. And then I decided to do some switching of our eating. I had taken a class and wanted to start looking at labels up close and comparing things, and online ordering seemed to be a little more of a hassle. So I started going to the grocery store again, and all of a sudden everything got upset. My system got upset, and I wasn't able to get back to it. And for years after that, I was flying by the seat of my pants and joked that if it weren't for the fact that bacon could thaw in 20 minutes, I don't know what we would have eaten, because we were eating so much bacon. BLTs, oh my gosh, shrimp and bacon tacos. I could make just about anything out of bacon, and it was my emergency go-to. What the heck am I making for dinner option? And it absolutely just drove me crazy. And the thing about it is it doesn't go away. You can't not make the decision and it works out okay. You have to end up eating something. And so the idea of trying to come back to something that had worked for me before was such a good feeling. But it took me to be off work and try to get back to that again, to have the relief of my menus being planned again a month at a time. So I have lived through not, and I have lived through doing it. And if you can get on the schedule with this, it is so easy. So let's just start. I bought myself a cheap little 24 month at a glance planner calendar. I think I got this at Target. And it has nice space, and you can see that I write in pencil, and I erase a lot. So here's what I do. At the beginning of the month, I take this out, and now I've got several months that I've been doing it, and so it's a nice little reference. I'm not starting over every single month or every single week, if that's how you do it. So I get this out every month. And I get out my cookbooks, the ones that I'm going to most often. I've got a lot of cookbooks. I love cooking, so I don't get out every cookbook I have, but the sort of the main ones for dinner and what I'm in the mood for. I have my favorites, and then they go out of favor, and then I'm using some other ones, so they sort of rotate naturally. But I'll get out maybe 5 or 6 cookbooks. And I actually got a notebook going as well that I started to list out things by main protein, sort of main ingredient, I guess. Pork, bacon, chicken, beef, vegetarian, egg. And I've made a list of most of them that we make. So I can also reference that list. So I get out my calendar, I get out some cookbooks, and I get out that notebook. And now that I've got some reference, I can also just look back. And the thing with what makes this no harder, honestly, no harder than doing a week at a time, is that if I look at my notebook and I see Sloppy Joes and I think, gosh, we just had Sloppy Joes. I don't think I want to make Sloppy Joes next week. I just plot it out 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later because we like Sloppy Joes. Most of us like Sloppy Joes in this family. So it's something that I'll probably make once a month. So I plot that out later. look at my list and see pad thai. Family loves pad thai. Can't seem to make that enough, but I know we'd get sick of it if I made it more than once a month. So I put that on at some point. But as I consider an option, I can just plot it later in the month, or not at all, obviously. But instead of just trying to think of 4 or 5 and rejecting those other ideas and just not using them as good meal ideas, I just put them in later in the month. And so I scribble them all in, and I have a variety of a soup, especially if it's in the winter months. I'll have a soup once a week. And then as the week approaches, I make my grocery list, and I can look and see then the calendar of what's going on and think, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to make a roast chicken. On Monday, I've got to run the kids to wherever, and I just erase it and swap it out with something else in the week. If the meat is in the freezer, it doesn't even matter. And if it is in the freezer and I can look ahead to the week, I know when I need to take that out of the freezer or put it on my shopping list. So I flex a lot with this. I am not stuck to anything. And what's nice is that I don't have a blank paper staring at me or a blank idea staring at me at the end of the day. I have something to go on, and I can swap out between the weeks. Honestly, it takes no more time for me to plan a month than it does a week. And I love now looking back, because seasonally it makes such a difference on what you pick. What you're going to make in a month of December is not the same as what you make in the month of June. Now I can look back and see June, and as June approaches this year, I'll probably look at this and say, wow, of course, yeah, we'd have BLTs and what have you. It's just a great reference. So I recommend getting one that has a couple of years in it, because then you can use it that way. So then I make my grocery list on Monday and for the week, and I can swap within the week. So once I have my things, if I don't want to make what I wanted to make originally on Tuesday, I can just make it on Thursday. It's magic. It truly is magic. And once I know that my meals are planned, what a relief. So much mental energy would get cluttered up with what's for dinner, and now I don't have to do that. So I encourage you to give it a shot. Thanks for your time. Namaste.